Imagine this, Florence, a strong, confident woman, living her best life with her loving husband, Sampson. But what if the world is about to be turned upside down by none other than Sampson's ex? Lydia, who's back with a secret that could shatter everything. But here's the big question, can Florence outsmart her and save her relationship, or will Lydia's plot blow everything apart? If today is your first time on this channel, then please hit on the like button, subscribe to this channel for more amazing stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Now let us dive into the full story. Florence was the kind of woman people noticed. With her radiant smile and an infectious laugh, she seemed to light up every room she entered. She was smart, beautiful, and had been dating Sampson, the town's most eligible bachelor, for 5 glorious years. In their quaint West African town, they were the couple everyone envied, like a scene straight out of a romantic comedy. They were often referred to as the perfect couple, which, of course, made them the prime subject of local gossip. Sampson was a handsome entrepreneur known for his booming business and even bigger heart. He could charm the socks off anyone with his dazzling smile and a knack for remembering everyone's name, except for Florence's quirky cat, Mr. Whiskers, whom he repeatedly called Whiskerface. But Florence adored him anyway, dismissing his occasional flubs as part of his charm. But if anyone asked Florence, she would say the real MVP of her life was her best friend, Lydia. They had been inseparable since childhood, sharing everything from secrets to suya, a delicious spicy meat skewer that could brighten anyone's day. Lydia was the one who always helped Florence choose outfits, offered sage advice during her mini-dramas with Sampson, and could always make her laugh until her sides hurt. Lydia was the peanut butter to Florence's jelly. Or so Florence thought. Yet, beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect life, not everything was as golden as it appeared. Lydia had her own agenda, and unbeknownst to Florence, the seeds of betrayal were already being sown. One lazy Sunday afternoon, as Florence and Lydia lounged in Florence's room, devouring spicy suya and gossiping about the latest village drama, Lydia dropped her first bombshell. "Florence, don't you think Sampson's been acting different?" Lydia asked, her voice dripping with faux concern. Florence raised an eyebrow, instantly on alert. "What do you mean?" "Well, he's been taking longer to reply to your messages, hasn't he? And didn't you say last week he cancelled your dinner plans?" Florence paused, a frown creasing her brow. Sampson had been a little distant lately, but she attributed it to his burgeoning business. Still, Lydia's words began to worm their way into her mind, planting seeds of doubt that started to bloom like unwanted weeds. "I'm sure it's nothing," Florence said, forcing a confident smile, though her inner voice whispered, "Is it really nothing?" "Oh, of course, you're right," Lydia replied, her smile a little too sweet. "I just don't want to see you get hurt. You know how men are." Florence laughed nervously, brushing off Lydia's words. "Sampson's not like that." Lydia gave her a knowing look, one that seemed to say, but wouldn't it be fun if he were?" And just like that, the first seed of doubt was planted, soon to sprout into a full-blown garden of suspicion. The following weeks were a blur of Lydia's subtle insinuations and Florence's escalating paranoia. It was like living in a real-life drama where she was the unwitting star. Every time she met Sampson, she felt like she was playing a game of emotional charades, trying to decipher his every gesture. "Why is Sampson always on his phone when you're together?" Lydia would ask innocently, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "I saw him talking to that girl at the market the other day. Looked friendly." Florence could feel her sanity slipping. Was Sampson really smiling too much at that waitress? Did he have to take that business call right in the middle of their date? Why did he like so many pictures of other women on Instagram? Amina's mind was spiraling, then Lydia was there, fanning the flames like a pyromaniac at a bonfire. I just want the best for you, girl, she would say, all the while stirring the pot like she was preparing a spicy pot of egusi soup. Florence, normally the queen of calm, was now reduced to a bubbling cauldron of anxiety. One minute she was laughing at a joke, and the next, she was on the verge of a panic attack, convinced that Sampson was about to announce he was joining a cult or, worse, leaving her for someone named Honey. One evening, Sampson invited Florence over for dinner, claiming he had a surprise for her. The thought of a surprise filled Florence with dread. Was this the moment he would confess his undying love for another woman? Or, worse, break up with her? The suspense was too much. As she prepared for the evening, Lydia called, her voice dripping with doubt. Are you sure you want to go? What if the surprise is him introducing you to another woman? I wouldn't put it past him. Florence groaned but ignored Lydia. She wasn't about to let her best friend's paranoia ruin her evening. But by the time she arrived at Sampson's house, the seed of doubt had grown into a full-blown tree of suspicion. Dinner was awkward, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Sampson tried to act normal, but Florence wasn't having it. She kept giving him side-eye as they ate, mentally calculating how many likes he'd received on his last Instagram post. Just when she was about to confront him, Sampson stood up suddenly, his expression serious. Florence, there's something I need to tell you. This is it, Florence thought. He's going to say he's been cheating, or lying, or... I know what Lydia's been up to, Sampson said, his tone grave. Florence blinked, feeling like the ground had shifted beneath her. Wait, what? Sampson sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Lydia's been trying to sabotage us. Florence's heart raced. Lydia. My best friend. She felt her world spin as Sampson pulled out his phone, showing her a series of text messages. In the texts, Lydia had been flirting with Sampson. Not outright, of course, Lydia was too cunning for that. But the undertones were there, like a bad signal on a vintage radio. She had been trying to subtly turn Sampson against Florence, claiming that Florence didn't appreciate him and that he deserved better. Florence's jaw dropped. The betrayal felt like a slap to the face. I can't believe I didn't see it, she yelled, pacing back and forth like a lion in a cage. That two-faced snake. Sampson stood up, placing his hands on her shoulders. Hey, calm down. I didn't fall for it, did I? Florence glared at him. That's not the point. She's been my friend for years. And here I was thinking you were the problem. Sampson smirked. Me? The problem? I'm perfect. Florence rolled her eyes, but a laugh escaped her despite the gravity of the situation. Sampson pulled her into a hug, grounding her. Listen, I love you, Florence. Lydia doesn't come close. I've been trying to tell you, but you were so focused on what she was saying that I couldn't get through. The next day, Florence was determined to confront Lydia. She invited her over for tea, feigning innocence like a master actress. Lydia arrived, her usual facade of sweetness plastered on her face, ready to spill the latest village gossip. Did you hear about the chicken thief in the market? Lydia began, her eyes gleaming. Such drama. Florence played along, pouring the tea and nodding as if she were genuinely interested. But as Lydia rambled on about the latest village scandals, Florence's mind was racing, preparing for the confrontation ahead. By the way, Lydia, Florence said, leaning forward with a wicked smile, when were you going to tell me you were after my man? Lydia choked on her tea, eyes wide in feigned innocence. What? What are you talking about? Oh, please. Don't act innocent now. I know everything, Florence said, pulling out her phone to reveal the incriminating texts. You've been exposed, sis. Lydia's face shifted through a spectrum of emotions: shock, denial, and finally settling on indignation. Well, if you were really a good girlfriend, you wouldn't have had to worry about losing him. Oh, sweetie, I'm not losing him, Florence replied coolly. But you just lost your only friend. With that, Lydia tried to storm out, but in true comedic fashion, she tripped over Florence's coffee table, sending her tea flying everywhere. The entire scene was almost cinematic, Lydia flailing like a cartoon character, tea splattering like confetti. Lydia, are you okay? Shouted Auntie Bintu, the nosy neighbor, who had decided this was the perfect moment to step outside. Oh, you young people and your problems. Florence couldn't help but laugh, the tension from the previous days lifting like a fog. Even in Betrayal, Lydia managed to make a mess, both literally and figuratively. As Lydia stumbled out the door, her dignity trailing behind her, Florence felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Later that evening, Florence and Sampson sat together on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The serenity of the moment contrasted sharply with the chaos of the day. Florence sighed contentedly, resting her head on Sampson's shoulder. You know, I really thought I was losing it for a while. Sampson chuckled, wrapping an arm around her. You? Losing it? Never. Florence smiled, grateful to have him by her side. I guess the lesson here is, trust the people who show you love, not the ones who whisper doubts. And maybe avoid friends who trip over coffee tables, Sampson added with a cheeky grin. They both laughed, and in that moment, Florence realized how lucky she was. Their relationship, tested by external forces, had only grown stronger. As they sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars begin to twinkle, she knew they could face anything together. As for Lydia, well, she was now the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. Not only had she tried to sabotage her best friend's relationship, but her dramatic exit had become a local legend. Auntie Bintu never missed an opportunity to remind everyone about the time Lydia made a fool of herself, turning it into a cautionary tale for future generations. Remember, my children, Auntie Bintu would say, never put your foot in your mouth while trying to betray a friend. You might just end up in a tea catastrophe. Florence's life returned to normalcy. With one significant change, she began to choose her friends wisely. Sampson continued to be her rock, supporting her through thick and thin, and they often laughed about the incident, finding humor in what had once been a dark cloud over their relationship. In the end, Florence and Sampson became the quintessential couple in their village, not just for their love but for their ability to navigate life's little dramas with laughter and grace. They learned that the bond they shared was built on trust, understanding, and, of course, the occasional comedic mishap that brought them closer together. And thus, life in their quaint West African town continued, with Florence and Sampson at the heart of it, embracing love, laughter, and a few wise lessons about friendship. From this story we can learn to trust our intuition, but always seek the truth. Florence learned the hard way that trusting by someone's words without questioning which leads to unnecessary doubt and insecurity. It's important to trust your intuition but also to seek truth through communication and understanding, rather than relying on external influences. Beware of false friends. Lydia, under the guise of a loyal friend, secretly worked to undermine Florence's relationship. The story reminds us that not everyone who appears to be a friend has your best interests at heart. Genuine friendships are built on support, not manipulation. Communication is key in relationships. Florence's growing suspicion of Sampson stemmed from Lydia's constant whispers. If she had openly communicated her concerns with Sampson earlier, much of the emotional turmoil could have been avoided. Open and honest communication strengthens relationships. Jealousy destroys relationships. Lydia's jealousy of Florence and Sampson's relationship led her to sabotage them. The lesson here is that jealousy can turn even the closest of friends into adversaries, and it only serves to bring pain and destruction. Appreciate those who truly care for you. Sampson's unwavering love and support for Florence, even when she doubted him, is a testament to the importance of recognizing and valuing those who truly love and care for you, rather than listening to external negativity. Integrity overcomes deceit. Despite Lydia's deceptive actions, Sampson and Florence's relationship ultimately survived because of their integrity and honesty. The lesson here is that the truth will always come out, and integrity will prevail over dishonesty in the long run. Forgiveness and moving forward. In the end, Florence chose to confront Lydia and end the toxic friendship, but the story shows that holding on to anger doesn't serve anyone. Sometimes, it's best to forgive and move forward, learning from the experience while protecting yourself from further harm. At the end, the story of Florence, Sampson, and Lydia serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of trust, communication, and self-awareness in both friendships and romantic relationships. It highlights the dangers of letting jealousy and manipulation dictate your actions and underscores the value of staying true to those who genuinely care for you. Ultimately, integrity and love triumph over deceit and treachery, leaving us with the lesson that authentic relationships, built on trust and honesty, can withstand even the most cunning attempts to tear them apart. As we navigate our own relationships, let's remember these valuable lessons and strive to surround ourselves with people who uplift us, rather than those who seek to bring us down.